So I'd like to introduce myself. First of all, my name is Steve Apps, and I'm previous chair of the ABP. Currently, I'm kind of responsible for certification. And because of certification, there was a need to look at our membership categories. And this is just about that for anyone. If you're here, it's probably because either you're interested and you've been learning a bit from our communications about the transition of member categories, and you're either annoyed at that and want to tell us that you're annoyed at that, or you're curious to know more, or you're confused, or all of the above. Or it might be that you're here because you don't know what it's all about and so would just like to learn some more, and maybe something else. But either way, you're in the right session if you're in one of those boxes. And I'd just like to also introduce Jade Brooks. Do you want to just say hi?
Hi.
And Jade is an ABP member, and when I put on the website to ask for a volunteer to support this membership transition, then stupidly Jade agreed to do that. So, so she's now going to support really all of you through this transition. She's helping me, I guess, and the ABP a lot with the processes that underpin it, and also with the communication that goes out to members to support the transition. And I'm also, because she's nodding a lot, going to just acknowledge Nikki as well, Nikki Thompson, who is obviously our head of corporate membership and has a sort of vested interest in this as well, because of you know, us obviously caring about corporate members as well as others. All right, so I'm going to just share my screen and I'm just going to rattle through this. I'll do it quite quickly, and apologies if it's too fast. Please tell me if it is and I'll go a bit slower. Let me just put this on my screen. Let me just try and share the right thing. I think it's that. Okay, are you seeing this? Good. All right. So current situation, we have, we have more membership categories, but the ones that are important for this are general member, practitioner member, and principal practitioner member. And at the moment, if you join, you are a general member, and you are able to put post-nominals MABP after your name, except for student members. If you are a practitioner member, it means you have a psychology kind of degree level psychology and 2 years experience of applying business psychology in the working world. And if you were able to demonstrate that, then you can put the post-nominals PABP after your name. And we then have principal practitioner with the post-nominals PABP, which you would need a postgraduate degree, a master's in psychology or business psychology, and 5 years experience of applying psychology in the business environment. And then we also have at the moment our certification, which is an assessment, if you like, of your knowledge, skills, and experience in business psychology against our business psychology framework. And there are 3 levels for that: associate business psychologist, senior business psychologist, and fellow of the Association for Business Psychology. So as you can see, it starts to get hugely complicated. And we thought, well, we need to kind of merge this together, and we need to continue to professionalize the association. And in order to do that, we've gone through a transition process, or we're going through that. And I've just put honorary member there, which is not affected by this proposal. So the plan is to change the membership categories, to transition existing members to the new categories, and to do that in a certain timeline. And this little presentation is about that. So the change that through consultation that we have got to, and that we have proposed and got agreement to at board level, is this: that we keep general member, but we remove the possibility of just having the post-nominals MABP for being a member, and instead we issue a digital badge, which would look something like this, although we've got some different options on that. And then the 3 certifications are Certified Business Psychologist with these post-nominals, Principal Business Psychologist with these post-nominals, and Fellow of the Association for Business Psychology with these post-nominals. So that's what the new world would look like. And then there is a transition from current world to this new world, which, oh, I just thought I'd have a bit of fun with this. So we're actually playing around with what this digital badge might look like. So could you just put in the chat a little bit of, you know, rigorous evidence-based research here? Which of these you prefer? Do you like the options across the top? That's currently proposed. So you would put in the chat, currently proposed. Or do you like this? And obviously we'd change the name here. Alternative 1, if you do, put alternative 1 in the chat. Alternative 2, alternative 3, or alternative 4, which, yeah, the point was made about this is that it should make the title bolder and less about the ABP. So actually, if you like alternative 4, but with alternative 2 design, then you could also put that in. That's where it starts to get confusing. Okay, I'm going to move on from that now. So how to transition existing members to the new categories. If you are a general member, then there's an auto transition, if you like. We'll just send out your notification that you can no longer use the MABP post-nominal. So there's no transition really. And if you wanted to go through the certification, then we're going to offer it until the end of 2021 at a lower rate than the current, you know, advertised rate on the website for those 3 levels. As I say, I can come back to this. I'm just going to do it high level quite quickly. If you're currently a practitioner, then you would auto transition, unfortunately, back to general member, because Certified Business Psychologist is a higher level than practitioner. However, we want to acknowledge the fact that it's a transition, and we want to acknowledge that people who have been members, some for a long time, and so we have a relatively inexpensive way to shift from practitioner to certified business psychologist, assuming that you have the level. So it's not just fill in a form and automatic. You do need to be evidence-based in reaching the level that we require. And during the Q&A, if you want to know more about what that level is, I can talk about that with the support of my colleagues. Equally, there is the certification at a particular rate for the certified principal business psychologist or even the fellow, because some people joined a practitioner 15 years ago and never went through any update process. So hence why we're offering that. And then if you're currently a principal practitioner, then there is an auto transition to a certified business psychologist if you're able to confirm the minimum requirements, because we haven't ever properly checked that. So we have to do some level of due diligence on that. And then for the second level up, we offer a cheap, if you like, transition between one and the other, and then also a cheaper version for FABP. And in case some of you are thinking this is just a money-making scam by the ABP, I'd just like to point out that it absolutely isn't that. It's about professionalizing and offering a title which has some, you know, some basis and starts to become more and more respected in the industry. And the costs that you've got here are essentially at costs of taking people through the process, with a little bit extra to use for kind of marketing and to embed the process further, create the right sorts of materials and so on. This is not about making money at all. The timeline for this. So this kind of kicked off in May with a consultation, and I can talk more about the consultation, and you were probably involved in it, but if that's all new, there has been a consultation. That consultation resulted in changes, which if you went back to the consultation, you'd see that what I've just presented is different to what we have now because we took on board some of the things that were said. We then sent out, we formally presented the transition process, well, to the board and got commitment to that, but then at the AGM, the annual general meeting that happened in September, then we are starting communication to you now. This is our informal, if you like, way of communicating. And then we're working on formal communication going out about this for January 2021, and then transition finished by the end of 2021. Okay, so in summary, general members remain general members, but will no longer be able to use the MABP post-nominals. Practitioners will auto-transition to general member, but have various options to move into the certification route. And principal practitioners with minimum requirements will auto-transition to certified business psychologist. And then again, there are routes for them to move up through the certification routes that we have. And next steps other than Q&A are, you're welcome to discuss your individual circumstances, because let's face it, life is never as black and white as I've just expressed it. So if you're thinking, well, what about this, that, the other, then that's what me and Jade and everyone else is here for. Look out for further communication in January. And there are the links I've put on here that I will put on the chat as we're talking, that take you to where to get further information about the consultation, about the certification, and everything we've done so far on our website. Okay, I shall stop there and hand back to you.
I have a question, Steve. Just a question that potentially for everyone as well, just in terms of the costs going forward, and for my own sanity somehow as well, in terms of payment plans or any of those sort of things, so that is more accessible to everyone. Are there options for people to make payment plans, or how the payment is structured in terms of upgrading and going through this process?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we've done up till now is we have basically just fitted into what suits an individual. So what we have tried various models, you know, like you could pay over a 12-month period, or you could pay in 2 chunks of 6 months. And at least right now, if you come to us and say, look, I'd rather pay in a particular way, then we should be able to make that work. The only thing we would say is that you should be fully paid up before the transition happens for you, or before we offer you the certification, if you like. But essentially, yeah, we can work around people's circumstances.
Is that then done on an individual to individual basis, is a question, or is there a general process that people can apply? Just in terms of, I'm thinking in terms of the numbers that are in the association, and trying to streamline it for your sanity as well as everyone else's. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, we will probably put together a formal proposition on that, but for now, I think it's open.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, any comments or questions? Other comments or questions? Welcome to the shift from senior to principal.
I think it's in welcoming it. So it's
welcome the shift. Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if you did you suggest that in the research, in the consultation?
No, Martin speaking, MGBK5 up there. Yes, no, it wasn't my suggestion, but I did, when the initial proposals came out, I thought the certified senior business psychologist was a wee bit clumsy, and the word senior opens up all sorts of questions around senior to whom, and all. Whereas principal kind of clear, it's a leader, it's a core, it's a well recognised term in other institutions. So
yes,
I welcome that clumsiness is gone, and I welcome.
Thank you.
I was just going to add that I welcome the shift to some verification of, even for the auto transition for PPABPs. I recall that I never had to verify my qualifications, so I welcome that there will be some kind of basic verification procedure for the auto transition of PPABPs, because it's all to do with the credibility and respect of our own institution.
Thank you, Martin. And we received feedback about senior from, say, 5 or 6 different people, which led us to think, yeah, okay, we should do something about that. And yeah, the other thing that was pointed out is that I can't spell principal. So that was another thing that needed clarifying. Any other questions?
It's actually interesting, Steve, from what you've got at the bottom for all the badges. It's quite interesting to see the complete range. I actually expected there to be a bit more consensus. It seems like you're going to have a very hard job trying to figure out what everyone wants for that, because they're all completely different.
Yeah, I sort of regretting I sent out a message to the board saying, here's some options on the badges. What do you know, option 1, 2, 3, 4, and I stupidly put option 5, which is anything else. And of course, I got a lot of people coming back going, oh, how about some orange tinted ones? But the last one that was on there was from Gonzalo, who not only is managing a conference, but also is a badge designer as well. So thank you, Gonzalo, for that. Kelly or Dirty, anything you'd like to add, or Mark, any questions, comments?
Only that the timing of this conference has been absolutely perfect between contracts. So frustration in the early days for me being a member of the ABP was I could never get to the conferences. So it was a bit of a hallelujah. I can go to everything I can possibly squeeze in over the last week or two. So that's been fantastic. And I think probably I'm quite excited about I've got fellowship of the CMI through work that I've been doing with the CMI, and that would probably be my professional target for the ABP. So scrutiny over what I've been doing and whether that's appropriate would be of interest.
Nice.
But and checking out detail of how to do that, I just need signposting to who to speak to on that in terms of whoever's going to be processing some of this.
Yeah, well, I'd say your first port of call is to talk to Jade, and then if anything comes out from that that you know I can help answer, then I'll do my best with that. And then we also have Alex Forsyth sitting behind the scenes, who is you know she's a professor of something psychology, applied psychology at Wolverhampton University, and so she's our kind of fallback for anything that gets too technical.
Right, that's great, thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Mark, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, Steve, I just think it's really good. I like Gonzalo's artwork as well. He's done a good job. But it's good from the perspective if clarifications required on what the letters after the name are, what the standards are, and ensuring that the processes are rigorous. Because at the end of the day, that's something about the integrity of the organization that's important. So yeah, excellent work.
One thought, seeing as you're staying here, is whether I can just share with you something that Jade put together, which we're imagining will form the basis of the kind of the £300 upgrade. So if you like, the paper evidence-based upgrade. And if I just put that on the screen and just quickly, take you through it, I mean, there would be some kind of form just to put in, who you are and what you're applying for type stuff. But what we're imagining is that something like this. So this is our business psychology framework that is split through areas of practice. I'll just scroll down, the consulting cycle, and then professional business practice, and then the ABP values, and then each of the, if you like, definitions of what each of those mean. And then we were imagining that we might ask people to self-assess based on a rating scale of how they think they stack up against each of these, and then provide supporting evidence, not with the aim that, you know, one has to have a 3 or a 4 across all of these, because again, you know, we all are in this industry, in profession, in such different ways that if you can't really like do an algorithm or something to work it out. It requires some human judgment, but at least going through the process of saying, yeah, this is something I'm really strong at, and here's the evidence that supports that, even if it's pretty high level, starts to give us, you know, one, it gives the person doing it a kind of a good self-reflection track to go through to see how they stack up against the business psychology framework. And it also gives us evidence that we can then use to either make the decision or decide, okay, do we need a further conversation or further evidence about this? Just high level, any reactions to that?
Yeah, it'd be good to understand what you think.
I think it's great, because I think what you're doing there as well is you're removing some of the barriers and friction to the process of onboarding. And also, like you say, from a self-reflection point of view, you're starting to set out the benchmarks for standards. That's what it looks like to me. So I think that's really useful. I mean, you know that I recently applied and went through the process to join the ABP. And I think that those signposts would have been exceptionally useful to me as well, as opposed to generating something from, you know, not from the top of my head, but going into my experience, then reflecting on it, and then communicating that to you. Whereas if there's something that's already visible, a visual guide for me to go through, I think it makes the process a lot easier, and it allows you to sort of calibrate between what you're looking for and somebody self-identifying with whether or not they fit with that category.
Exactly. Emma, do you have any thoughts on that, given as someone who, you know, went through the full certification process successfully? And what are your thoughts in seeing that? Because I think that's the first time probably you've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to reiterate what Mark said, by having it, you know exactly. So if I was to go to the next level, for example, I need to go through that to decide, am I ready to go, or do I just wait? But totally support the increase in professionalism for the organisation. So like I say, you've got the information, you know, where you go to the level of standard, and knowing that you've got credibility is important to me.
Yeah, and then if you look on the website at the different, the 3 different levels, then you can just with the information on the website, you get a sense of, you know, what the differences would be. And so, for example, for certified principal business psychologist, we would be expecting that someone would complete that framework that I've just shown, plus give some additional evidence on how, you know, the leadership role that they've had, you know, because the difference is not that you're just practicing it, but you're role modeling it for others, and you're working and running teams, even if they're not necessarily working for you, but you're working with teams of people to apply business psychology in the workplace from a leadership perspective and position. And so we'd need evidence from that on top of that. Thanks, Emma. Jade, anything you'd like to add?
I think it's good that you pulled up the framework to see what the reaction was, because I think that was our biggest stumbling block, really, wasn't it? Because it's hard to categorize or put a points-based system in when you could do so many of the different get the word out, different the categories.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just good to see what your thoughts were. Just another one really quickly, actually, would be a good question for me. I'm currently typing out designing some letters and template letters to send the appropriate groups. Would you prefer an email, kind of email notification and all this on that kind of, or basically we're trying to think whether a posted letter would look better, would come across better, or would an email kind of drafted letter attached work well? Just kind of understanding what the preference would be.
We have both.
Both, yeah. Both, yeah, good work. Well, because I think it's quite professional, isn't it, from a letter base. to send out, but then I guess you still have to access the framework and assess. But yeah, both could work.
So I'm very want to use paper these days, so I just think there's a cost associated with it, and if the letter's attached, then I can choose to print it out if I needed to, but everything's electronic. All I have to do, because if you send it in a paper document, I then have to take a photo of it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's if we can reduce paper, that would be my personal preference.
Yeah, I thought that'd be the preference of just putting it out there. And then, sorry, my dog's about to bark, which is great. But and then the link would be, and then we might try to look at having an implemented online application as well, which could be another way. So we're really looking into the best way of how to get you kind of across the board and into the right categories, really.
Yeah, Martin just asked that, and that's our plan, is to have a digital submission option. Yeah, so we'll be working with CJAM, who are our kind of you know, association support company to do that. That would be awesome. We have the power now. It's awesome. All right, shall we leave that there, Emma, Gonzalo, Nelson?
Yeah, I'm just conscious it's 6:30. So
all good.
Yeah, good.
I need to get ready for the next session, so I need to get some water as well.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everyone.